In the 1980s, two human scientists made a huge discovery. They detected the presence of a chemical element called iridium in the geological record, exactly at the point in time dinosaurs disappeared from the fossil record, also known as the Cretaceous-Paleogene or KPG boundary. Not only that, but this specific iridium ring has consistently been found at the KPG boundary in samples taken from around the world. It seemed like something deposited an immense amount of iridium all over the Earth's crust at the same time that dinosaurs went extinct. The curious thing is that iridium is usually pretty hard to come by on Earth, and these rock layers at the KPG boundary contained 200 times the amount of iridium we would normally expect to find. Can you guess where iridium is abundant? Asteroids. But if such a catastrophically large asteroid did crash down to Earth, it would leave behind a crater that would be pretty hard to miss. Well, just a few years later, the human scientists found that too. Known today as the Chicxulub crater, it lies off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico and spans a whopping 200 kilometers. After some testing, researchers confirmed the age of the crater as being about 66 million years old, lining it up exactly with the iridium in the KPG boundary and the disappearance of dinosaurs from the fossil record. Another core piece of evidence that supports the asteroid theory is something called tektites. They've been found in abundance in several places, with one of the most astounding discoveries coming from North Dakota, USA. Researchers found a fossilized mass grave with fish, burned tree trunks, conifer branches, mammals, mosasaur bones, insects, and the partial carcass of a triceratops, all frozen in time together along the KPG boundary. Scientists had never seen such a collection of diverse organisms in different life stages who died at the same time. And in and among all the fossils were countless tektites and microtektites. The leading theory is that they are actually pieces of molten earth crust that were shot up into the sky on impact. High in the atmosphere, they cooled into natural glass and then rained back down onto the earth in a glass shower at speeds of 160 to 300 kilometers per hour. And remember, North Dakota is 3,000 kilometers away from the impact. So let's gather this evidence together and paint a picture for our alien travelers of what could have happened to Earth while they were filling up on gas. The impact this would have had on animals would have been devastating. 75% of all species are wiped out forever, making this one of the largest mass extinction events in Earth's history, second only to the Permian extinction we covered in Part 2. All the animals that exist on Earth today are descendants of the survivors of this apocalypse. Others were not so lucky. Being large is a disadvantage in an apocalypse. You need lots of food, lots of space, and lots of resources. All terrestrial and marine dinosaurs suffered greatly and eventually died out as a result. A small slither of avian dinosaurs had better luck and managed to slink through the evolutionary bottleneck into the Paleogene period. They still roam the Earth today through their direct descendants, birds. When we think of birds, we think beaks. But back in the Cretaceous days, birds came in all kinds of different, wonderful variations that we've never seen with our own eyes. Some had beaks, some didn't. Some had teeth, some didn't. While it would be foolish to credit a single trait for the survival of an entire family line, it sure seems that if you were a bird 66 million years ago, having a beak stacked the odds in your favor. We think that beaked birds had an advantage as they could dig out seeds from the ground when no other food source was available. Toward the end of the Cretaceous, beaked birds were already eating a more varied diet than their non-beaked cousins. This would have been a huge advantage when rations were scarce. After all, being a picky eater in an apocalypse isn't really a good idea. Having enough force in the gizzard to crush tough fruits and seeds, and enough flight stamina to gather food over large distances also helped with survival. Some species of mammal also managed to push through. It is thought that only mammals smaller than 10 centimeters survived, as they could hide underground where they were somewhat insulated from the lower global temperatures. Being small also meant they needed less food to survive. The platypus is an example of a mammal that coexisted with dinosaurs, survived the KPG extinction, and is still around to this day. Turtles also fared surprisingly well, although it isn't understood why. About 80% of the known turtle species made it through the KPG extinction, as did crocodiles. While we can't be 100% sure why, some ideas are that crocodiles, like beaked birds, have highly diverse diets, and they can survive without food for more than a year, thanks to their excellent energy conservation abilities.